Well, hey, welcome to the Hey Joe Show, live from Maui, Hawaii, which we're learning a lot about Hawaii as far as the state and then various
history. We're learning about the
islands and cities and counties, and you just spit on me. Oh. Anyhow, we want to welcome you tonight to the Hey Joe Show, and what's odd for us is that it's only 4:30 here because of daylight savings time. We are now 4 hours behind you all in the mainland, is what they call it here. But we wanted to go ahead and try to stay consistent with the show while we're here. And so we want to thank everybody at the lightnetwork.tv for allowing the Hey Joe Show to be a part of your platform, and then also Truth.fm for allowing. Oh, I can't hear. Is anybody writing that they can hear the wind?
I'm just assuming because I can hear them.
All right, so here's the deal. Erin can look at comments still, but we're going live from our iPhone, literally on the beach. There's our young people there watching us. They're actually not watching us. That's right.
They've got better things to do.
But anyhow, if you're having trouble hearing, let us know. We'll try to do what we can, but we do have our earpieces in. Hopefully that is enough of direct microphone. But tonight, Erin and I, we've decided that we're going to deal with a subject that pertains to health, but it may be a little different topic than you normally think of when you think of health.
Right.
But it's the concept of contentment. And so when you really think about what contentment is in health, Erin, I don't know what comes to your mind, but I kind of get a sense that it is... it's being okay with what you have. I don't know. Have you ever heard of a really good definition of contentment? Or when you think of contentment, what do you think of?
Well, let me type it into
Oh, nice.
dandy phone here and see what the definition is.
Nice. You're researching it.
Being contented or satisfied.
Well, you can't do that.
A source of satisfaction.
Okay. Now we're getting there.
Of happiness that consists in being satisfied with present conditions, a quiet, uncomplaining, and satisfied time.
Okay, so over and over again, what I heard was the word satisfied.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
That definition, yeah.
Which, by the way, just being real with that is very much so an anti-American concept. Being satisfied with, well, I don't know if it's anti-American, it's anti-education, it's anti-business world, it's anti-sports world, because we've always taught and been taught, I guess, that we're supposed to try to achieve that next level. That and I want to say this right out of the gate: there's nothing wrong with wanting to achieve the next level of success, right?
Right. The ones that godly. At first, I thought it said godly place, and I was like, yes, Hawaii does feel like a very godly place.
I would say godly peace. Peace that doesn't come from this world. Peace that doesn't come from the accomplishments, right? That's the temporary concepts. And that's what I somewhat spoke about on Sunday here at the congregation. But when you really think about contentment, I don't want to paint the picture that if you are a B student, that you shouldn't go for an A student. Or if you are, maybe you're up for a promotion and your boss comes to you and says, hey, we want to give you a promotion. And you say, nope, I just watched a podcast and it told me to be content, meaning satisfied with where I was. There's a difference between bettering yourself and your situation and a lack of contentment, or biblical contentment is what we're talking about. It's quite interesting because in Philippians chapter 4, the Apostle Paul said that he had learned to be content in all things. And those all things, when you go back to Philippians chapter 4, you'll realize that he's learned to be content with a lot. He's learned to be content with nothing. He's learned to be content with health, but also in sickness. And you think about individuals who went through the gauntlet of stages, or I guess the extremes would be maybe a better way to say that, of circumstances. The Apostle Paul was one of those that definitely we point to in Christianity, because he was in prison, yet he was also free at times. He was definitely high, when he was back with the Jews and doing what he was doing with them, back coming out of being educated by the feet of Gamaliel. The idea is this, that he understood what it was to be on top of the mountain, and he understood what it was to be on the bottom of the mountain. But either way, the Apostle Paul said, I've learned to be content in all things. And of course, in Philippians chapter 4, that's where we find the often misquoted scripture that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
I mean, that isn't about sports.
That's not about hitting a home run. I know that's odd.
Or touchdown.
Or scoring a touchdown. Or that's not that. Because the reality is this, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but I can't fly like a bird without any assistance. So can you imagine me saying, hey, you know what? These birds that we will see flying over the ocean, the idea is, hey, the Bible says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That means I can fly like a bird without any assistance because Christ strengthens me. And that's not what that's saying. The reality is this, that I may want to run fast or accomplish these things, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen, because Philippians 4 doesn't teach us that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, which means just whatever I can dream, I can be. But the impact of that is what we're talking about tonight, and that is this. How does the Apostle Paul learn to be content in all things when good times come and bad times come? It's because his contentment comes through Christ, not through this world. Now, here's what we're going to do, right? So the people who tune in, said, hey, Joe Show, you didn't tune in for a sermon. So rarely do I hear, hey, Joe, we love your monologues. Okay? So here's the deal, Erin. What hinders us from contentment then in life? What do you think?
Discontentment.
We were having a Bible study earlier today about courageous. And what does that mean? It means not being without courage. What hinders us? Yeah, what gets in the way of that?
I think our need for always more, like more popularity, more money, more material things, more. I think we're in a society that's just kind of what is taught. And even though we sometimes might have the mindset to buck against that, we inadvertently are still in that place because it's just all around us, and we have a hard time pushing it aside. Like mentally, we might know that we shouldn't be discontent, but am I just rambling?
No. What you're saying is absolutely right. You're saying it's cultural.
Well, yeah. I mean, we might know, I need to be content, but then, everybody around us, especially if other people are like climbing the corporate ladder or getting bigger houses or buying, fancier clothes or a better car, and we might know that, we need to be content with what we have, but it still is agitating because that's not what we're being taught around us, and so it can make you even like cranky,
Yeah.
It makes you feel better, but it still bothers you.
Hey, we have a comment here. One idea: fear of what people think.
Yeah,
and
that's definitely a big one.
I would say that that's a real one from the standpoint of this. We live in a world of comparisons. At least in America, we live in a world, and I can't speak for other cultures because I don't live in those cultures, but I know the American culture, we have phrases like keeping up with the Joneses. The idea of I have a certain lifestyle level that I want to live at, and therefore it means that in order to live there, well, they've got the new car, they've got the nice house, they're driving this, they're going here, they're going there, and I've got to make sure that I keep up with that, right? And so the concept of keeping up with the Joneses, I think, drives that. So fear of what people think absolutely drives that. I would also add this, though, and you stop me if there's a comment. I would add this.
Comment. That's a great place to say. You don't want to just know what we think. We want to hear what you think.
Yeah. And I would say this. I had a good thought.
Oh, no.
And you kind of stole it from me.
Stole your thought.
What was it? Oh, wait. the feeling of injustice, the concept of injustice. And of course, I'm not talking about everything that happened the past summer, but I'm talking about the sense that as Jesus was dealing with individuals who had worked in the vineyard, the laborers in the vineyard, and some had come at the very beginning of the morning, and then some had come at the 11th hour. And those who started in the very beginning, they didn't like the fact that the people who started at the 11th hour got the same pay. And so they had a sense of other people are doing better than I, or other people have things that I don't have, and that's not fair. And of course, in that parable, the idea behind that was the landowner said, "Hey, did I do you any disservice? You agreed to work for a certain amount. I'm paying you for what you agreed to work for. So therefore, you shouldn't be, have any hard feelings or feel like there's any injustice." But the problem with that, and here's what I can only imagine on the concept of injustice, was you had people who were standing at the back of the line, right? Because the people who started at the 11th hour, they were getting paid first. So people who had been working all day, they were tired, they were worn out, they were seeing what was being given to the people in front of them. And you can almost imagine them looking over the shoulders going, "Can you believe they got the same amount that we're getting?" And that was the problem. Again? I'm preaching. But here's the deal, and I've oftentimes used this analogy. Growing up, when people said, "Hey, do you want a bowl of ice cream?" If you said, "Yeah, I want a bowl of ice cream," and maybe it was your grandfather or your father who gave you a bowl of ice cream, you would go to them and everybody would have a bowl. And what if he gave your brother three scoops, but he only gave you one scoop? You would look at that and go, "That's not fair." And the reason you think it's, well, but here's the idea. It wasn't your ice cream in the first place. You see, sometimes we feel there's an injustice and that we lack contentment because we feel entitled. In other words, I deserve that raise. I deserve more money. No, you don't.
Oh, you're gonna start stepping on toes.
No, here's the deal. Here's the deal. God's never operated on what you think you deserve. He's always operated on what he wants to give you that you can handle for his glory. And so whether that's at this moment a lot, whether it's the next moment nothing, the idea behind it is this: when you look in other people's ice cream bowl and you see what they have versus what you have, as long as you're always comparing yourself to other people, you will always find someone that will make you feel like it's not fair.
We had a comment from someone basically agreeing, saying yes, entitlement.
So, and what's sad is sometimes as Christians, we live that way. We believe that because we're Christians, we're trying to do it God's way, that good things are going to happen, right? Unfortunately, we live, while we may not verbalize it, there are many of us who live in the concept of Job's friends, that Job was receiving all those hard times in the Old Testament because he must have done something wrong. When in reality, he didn't do anything wrong. It's kind of the Matthew 7 concept that God causes the rain to fall on those who build the foundation on the sand and those who build the house on the sand and those who build the house on the rock. Either one. So anyhow, there's my rant from Maui. Yeah, if you're looking at what's Erin doing, she's not looking at sharks. She's looking to make sure children are okay. So anyhow, I don't know. I mean, contentment is an interesting subject. So ways then maybe that we could instill contentment. Let's talk about that. Ways to instill contentment in the lives of our children and in our own families. I think number one, we as parents have to model that. We've got to understand that it's not bad to want the new things. It's not a bad thing to want that, but we also need to be cautious about running out buying every new thing that comes along because we get tired of the old things.
That's a hard one for a lot of people.
So, and it's not bad, but the issue is what message are we teaching to our children, right?
I also think, and I feel like this social media gets brought up a lot in different subjects in our episodes, but I think limiting social media, but also to yourself. I mean, it's really easy to think, "Woe is me," when you're on social media and seeing everyone's perfect social media life. You can really get.
think so, because the whole idea of the Pinterest
And
mentality
actually, someone just
comes
made a
about.
comment pretty much at the same time I was thinking, so we're on the same wavelength there, said, now that almost everyone is engaged with some type of media most of the day, we are bombarded with quote unquote stuff.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, even ads are trying to sell you the things that your phone hears you talking about. I would say this though: the idea of the keeping up with the Joneses is only emphasized with the Pinterest culture, the social media culture, and so I would say that. I would also say this: it's okay to limit your children's belongings. Just because they want it doesn't mean that they need to have it. I think there's value in teaching your children to earn what they have. Now, that doesn't mean that you never give your children anything, right? You're going to have a meal, kids. So, therefore, you need to pay mom for your meal, and she cooked it. So, you need to. I'm not suggesting that. I do believe there's a responsibility that we as parents have in child rearing. But I would also say this: there's value in saying no to your children.
Had to say no over and over to one of ours. We went into a store here in Maui yesterday, and there was a normal $50 item that was $10, and we have a child who really, really wants it. And it's so easy to say $40 off, but A, it'd be hard to get back on the plane, and B, we just left a room full of stuff right now. When we get home, we're getting rid of half of your things. So why would I bring a new item into the house where we need to get rid of things?
Which, by the way, I will say this with Christmas coming up and things along those lines. There's going to be a lot of toys that are bought, perhaps, maybe depends on shipping and transportation. But I would offer this to you: allow your children to understand that there's value in getting rid of stuff, donating toys, taking them to, I'd say Goodwill, but there's orphanages and places to bring your toys where it's going to go somewhere useful as they get something new, to get rid of something. But I would also reemphasize it's okay for them not to get everything they want, that you're actually doing them a favor. And I know sometimes as parents, we struggle with that because we do want our children to be happy. We want oftentimes our children to have it better than we've had it. And sometimes we equate that with personal belongings. But I would say this: parents, we're playing the long game. We're trying to teach our children that contentment comes from Jesus, doesn't come from the newest thing. But if we're going to teach them that, we've got to model that ourselves. And so, anyhow, those
It's
are some
so easy
practical
for us to be
concepts.
content right now, though, while we're sitting
Yeah,
here.
this is how that's how contentment looks. Yeah, you're like, yeah, of course you're content. Look at you, right?
Although the joke is that we're in Maui, we've been working all day, but I'm so happy to be in Maui.
Hey, one of the cool things I will tell you this, since some of you are, continually watching Erin's post, you post more than I post, which is fine because, quite honestly, I'm social media'd out. Other than this, obviously, I love the Hey Joe show. But what's cool about this beach is that it's in our backyard, literally. So we come through those woods right there, and we pop out. The house is on the other side of that. We pop out at this beach, and there's no real good way to access it other than that way. On the back side of the camera, there's a few cottages, but otherwise, it's a totally private beach. So, anyhow, God is good. God's blessing us. Trying to do some good work here. For those of you who are curious what we're doing, the Maui Church of Christ, they fly in a preacher and his wife every month to work with them because they do not have a located preacher. And the blessing of that is, obviously, as ministers, we have a chance to come to Maui to stay in their preacher's home. They provide a car for you to drive, and in the meantime, you get to really work with these members and
Yeah,
try
so
to
we,
build the congregation up.
and for those that are watching, we definitely want to ask in terms of we try and work here this month. A lot of people know from my social media, we're friends, that our first waitress, when we got here on Saturday morning, found out why we were here, and she enthusiastically said she was going to come to services. And I hope we gave her good directions because we were friends making new to town and didn't really know our way around yet. Unfortunately, she was not here. However, we know where she works and we got 3 more Sundays. So we're praying that we can see her again and that she will come to worship with us and get to know
Yeah.
the listen here, and that we could just be an influence to those who are here, and that good work will be done.
Yeah, and so there's the opportunity for outreach. Obviously, members here would love individuals to be added, souls to be added.
If you're ever coming to Maui, and come visit the church here, they would love to have you.
Absolutely. So anyhow, we're not going to keep you long tonight. We just wanted to get on here and talk about contentment, talk about that as far as health, because I promise you this, you're never going to have peace if you don't have contentment the way the Bible describes it. But once you have contentment, then you'll have a peace that this world really, it can't take it away. When Jesus is your source of everything, then whether you have much or whether you have little, it's always going to be enough. And that's what's beautiful about it. So it's one of those things you strive for. I think all of us are on that journey, and I pray that you will continue to walk that journey as well as you strive to become who God would have you to become. So please keep the church in Maui in your prayers. Keep our month here in your prayers as we strive to work and encourage and build up the church here. But thank you all for tuning in. Anything else? All right. We don't have the cool intro song. However, you can hear the wind and the waves. That's right. So thank you for tuning in tonight. God bless. We're out.
Please hang up and try again.